Want to make way for the popular Tim Cowlishaw, Dallas Morning News columnist, ESPN Around the Horn contributor, and Tim kind enough to join us. Tim, let me start with the elephant in the room, or the red elephant in the room, with Andy Dalton. Give me the strategy behind this of bringing in Andrew Dalton as a Cowboys backup.
Why has he got to be the red elephant? Why do you have to go there? No, I mean, I don't think. I think the strategy is fairly simple. They've done this sometimes, bringing in a veteran quarterback. They haven't done it a lot, so that's what has people thinking, "Oh, what's this about?" They've been very lucky. Dak Prescott started 64 games. He's really never come out of a game while it was on the line. His backup the last 2 years, Cooper Rush, threw 3 passes in 2 seasons. And here's Andy Dalton floating around, and he's inexpensive. And so I really think it's injury protection. Now everybody kind of jumps the gun and says, "Well, what if Dak, doesn't come to camp or something?" I really don't think. I don't think there's a single worry about that. Honestly, he's going to make 31 million if he doesn't get a long-term deal. So I really think it's just they've done a better job getting backups at a lot of spots, and here's another one.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was, a shot at Dak Prescott or, changes the leverage here. To me, I just said, you know what? It's a smart move to bring him in. He's from the Dallas area, doesn't have to uproot his family. And given the fact that you're not going to be able to meet in person, he doesn't have to worry about any of those things with the coronavirus. I just thought, okay, maybe this is something good or something. Guys have to have the mindset of wanting to be a backup quarterback, though, Tim. I think Cam Newton, to me, is not a backup quarterback because he won't allow himself to do that. Andy Dalton is probably saying, what do I need to do? All right, I'll be a backup quarterback. And I think that's why he got in this position here.
I think Andy Dalton's made about $80 million with his time in Cincinnati. He went to the playoffs 4 times, never won a game, but he got the Bengals to the playoffs 4 times. That's something. And he may think of himself as, I can still start for somebody, but I'm okay now at whatever he is, 32, I think.
Yeah.
Being a backup this year. And, if we have anything approaching a normal season, he'll play in preseason games. People will have tape on him. They'll see him surrounded by good offensive talent, including the line, running backs, everything, and see what he looks like. So I think, plus, the fact he has a house here. I mean, who doesn't want to come to Dallas, Danny? Let's not mince words here.
I'll go to Austin. All right, I'll leave you in
Dallas. That's not a bad pick. We already have a Dan Patrick in Austin.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to stay out of Texas there because he's enough Dan Patrick to go around for an entire state. How's this playing locally that Andy Dalton's in town?
Well, I think locally there is at least a mindset. Oh, there's the leverage. And there are some, because I'll say this, in Dallas, fans historically are never on the player's side when there's a contract situation, maybe on Emmett's side. That would be about the only time after they'd won a Super Bowl. But generally, this is a city where they side with the teams, and now they just see Dak, oh, he must be greedy. He won't sign a long-term deal. So there is a certain, percentage of fans that want to say, okay, Andy Dalton's going to compete with him anyway. I don't think they're bringing him in here to compete with Dak Prescott. I think they're fine playing him if something happens to Dak. But I think most people realize, hey, it's just a good move to cover your backside in case something, there's no guarantee Dak is going to play every game forever.
I was curious with the CeeDee Lamb draft pick because you don't need CeeDee Lamb. He's a nice luxury to have because you already were a team that outscored the opposition by over 100 points. You had a good passing attack here. How surprised were you that CeeDee Lamb was tops on their list?
Well, given that I did a mock draft on Golic and Wingo, they got to me at 17, and I picked CeeDee Lamb that Monday, and I kind of jokingly said, I think it's great to thank you. I think it's great not only to add a good player, but you keep him from becoming a Philadelphia Eagle 4 picks later. That might be some motivation too. I didn't think it would happen. I thought they would take Chase on from LSU, but I don't. If you think he's a receiver who's going to be really good, and these other defensive players are like, you're thinking, okay, they might be pretty good. This guy is going to be good. Why not have 3 of them? There are things with Cooper's contract. They could be done with him in 2 years if they wanted to be. So I think they just said, look, let's just load up. Let's go for 30 points a game
Yeah.
and see who can stop us.
Yeah, it feels like, hey, let's be the Kansas City Chiefs of the NFC. We saw this with the greatest show on turf. Teams started to try to emulate the Rams. It's really hard to do it. But it seems like that's what Jerry probably said, hey, why not just add another guy to our 4x100 relay team and let's see if we can do what Kansas City does.
And so I don't blame him for that. I mean, I think everybody thinks he's going to be a talented receiver in this league, whether he's the best receiver in a couple of years or not. I mean, I don't think people realize Michael Gallup last half of last year had 650 yards. He was playing like a 1,300-yard receiver. So they have a lot of weapons. Let's see what they can do with them.
He's Tim Cowlishaw, Dallas Morning News columnist around the Horn Star, joining us on the program. The NFL is going to release that schedule, looks like, as scheduled this weekend. How surprised are you?
A little surprised, although I think it just goes in line with other things they've done in terms of we need to go ahead. And if we have to change things later, we'll change them. But for now, let's have free agency, let's have a draft, and let's go ahead. People get unnaturally excited about the NFL schedule, and they love it. So let's give them one more thing we can give them. We don't know if it's going to happen. We have no clue if fans are going to be at any of these games. But for now, this is the plan, and we'll adjust later. I don't think there's harm in it. I think most people recognize the NFL has no guarantees that this is going to come off, but everybody can be a little optimistic, I guess.
Did you cross paths with the Bulls in the 90s? What do you think of this documentary?
You know, I think the documentary is very good. I didn't. I was a Cowboys beat writer the first half and the Stars beat writer the second half, and I became a columnist in the summer of '98, and that's The Last Dance. So actually, it was about 2 weeks after that ended. Obviously, I watched him a million times. Rodman came to town later. He was briefly a Maverick, but no, I mean there's a lot of fast.
He's always a Maverick, Tim.
Yes,
he's always going to be a Maverick. But did they do a true documentary on the Cowboys of the '90s?
You know, that's a good point. I mean, there's been different things, nothing this exhaustive, nothing with behind-the-scenes footage, which would be very dangerous with the Cowboys of the '90s.
Boy, but how good would that be with those personalities, with those egos? If you had that, wow.
Just with number 88, it'd be pretty good.
If there's footage, that it could be incriminating. Well, statute of limitations there.
We saw some of that footage on the news on Sunday nights a lot of times back then.
But just this whole friction between coach and owner.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bulls had the owner and GM on the same page, but they didn't have the coach and the owner on the same page. You had that with Dallas where Jerry and Jimmy didn't get along.
Well, think about this. The Bulls had two Jerrys.
Oh.
Owner and GM. Cowboys had one in those same jobs, and he couldn't get along ultimately very quickly with the coach. So there were some parallels. I mean, success is hard, as you know well, Danny.
I just make it look easy, Timmy. But I think if you start to look at, the Warriors are interesting if you did one of these with Durant involved in it and Draymond Green. Other than that, they're not an interesting team. They play in interesting style.
Right.
I started to think about if you were going to do this in other sports, like what would be the one team in the modern era where you go, now that would be fun.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, you're right. The Warriors off the court would, and I don't think the Patriots. I don't know if there would be enough infighting. It certainly seems like there wasn't, at least until the end. So maybe if you could get some of that, it's hard. You really do have to go back to the Cowboys of the '90s and say, hey, this was a great team, but off the field, look at what the hell happened. Who else would ever have had win back-to-back Super Bowls and then the coach is out?
I know.
That would never happen anywhere else.
And then Barry Switzer gets credit for.
Yes, for the third.
It's like John Gruden gets credit for Tony Dungy's Super Bowl in Tampa. But
John Gruden beat his own team, so that was that's very confusing. I'd
Well,
have made for that one.
well, he knew all. They didn't change the audibles there. I love that Rich Gannon, like John, knew every call that they were making there.
That helped.
Well, you know what? Shaq and Kobe, the Lakers would have been. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that would have been some. But it was really those two, and then Phil's job of sort of being lifeguard in the deep end.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Jeannie Buss and his relationship with Jeannie Buss, and you could get something out of there.
You got something.
What do you got planned today?
Well, once this is over, not a lot, Dan. I am going to write a column. That's not true. I'll do 3 hours of local radio. We will talk Andy Dalton.
Why do you have a collared shirt on?
You know, I like to dress for breakfast around here, Dan. It's kind
do
of
you have pants on?
You know, John McEnroe appreciates it when I get dressed up. So,
do you have pants on?
I have pajamas.
I'll give you $100. I'll give you $100 if you stand up.
$100. Well, there you go.
There you go. Those are your pajamas.
The nice flannel look.
Look hot. You look hot. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hey, let's do this again. I mean, I'm around here for you if you need.
You know, I'm here.
I know.
And I put up a light for you. I don't know if you can tell.
Is that what that is?
I set up the ESPN light. See, if I lean this way, there's a.
Oh, I see it. I see the reflection there.
I did a little work to get this stage set up.
No. Hey, you look. Makes you look really good. Your eyes are popping.
Everything's popping.
Yeah, they are. Well, good luck today. Thank you, Tim. he just froze. He just turned off his light there. Thank you, Tim.